Let's look at how to use conversion factors. We know a football field is 100 yards. And by putting 100.0, I'm introducing that number with how many significant figures? That would be 4 significant figures. This 0 is significant because it's at the end of a number and after a decimal. This is significant because it's a 1. And we also remember the rule that zeros in the middle are significant. So 100.0 yards is 4 significant figures. What if I wanted to know how many feet is 100 yards? Well, you know that there are 3 feet in a yard. So I have to start with what I'm given, 100 yards. I'm going to set up a conversion factor. And in this conversion factor, I have to have the number on the top and the bottom equal to each other. I know there are 3 feet in a yard. Do I write 3 feet over 1 yard? Or would it be correct to write 3 feet on the bottom and 1 yard on the top? Which is correct? Since I want yards to cancel out, I need to put yards on the bottom so that it will cancel, and feet on the top. Now, how are feet and yards equivalent? Well, there's 3 feet in 1 yard, so the answer would be 300.0 feet. Now, what if there's a person that weighs 142 pounds? And I want to know, how many kilograms would that be? Well, obviously here, pounds to kilograms, we're converting from the English system to the metric system. So I'm going to need to give you some kind of conversion. And the conversion that I'm going to tell you is that there are 454 grams in 1 pound. Well, how is that going to help me? Because this asks for pounds to kilograms, and all you told me was how to get from pounds to grams. Well, we're going to have to use our metric system to go from grams to kilograms. So this is the conversion factor we have. How do I start? I have to start with what I'm given, 142 pounds. Can I convert from pounds to grams? Yes, because I know that there are 454 grams in a pound. Pounds will cancel. If I stopped and answered this right here, my answer would be in grams. But I can't stop because I want my answer in kilograms. So now I have to take it a step further and convert from grams to kilograms. How are those equivalent to each other? I know the metric system, and I know that 1 kilogram is equal to 1,000 grams. Or you could also say 1 kilogram is equal to 1 times 10 to the 3rd grams. And so I enter this in my calculator, 142 times 454 times 1, and then I have to divide it by the product of the denominator, which is 1 times 1,000. And so my answer, and I need how many significant figures in my answer? 3 sig figs. So my answer is 64.5 kilograms. Okay, let's say you have a vehicle that gets 24.0 miles per gallon. That's MPG. Y'all know that that's the same thing as 24.0 miles, MI, over GAL, gallons. Let's convert that to miles per liter. We're going to need a conversion factor that shows us the relationship between gallons and liters. And I would tell you that there are 3.785 liters in 1 gallon. I wouldn't expect you to know how to go from the metric system to the English system. I would give you a conversion for that. I would expect you to understand how to go from miles to feet to yards to inches. Okay, and of course you should know how to go from liters to milliliters because all that's within the same metric system. But if you ever cross that line and have to go from the English to the metric, I would give you a conversion for that. So, where do we start? Well, we start with what we're given, 24.0 miles per gallon. And that's like saying there's 24 miles per 1 gallon. I don't have to write the 1, it's understood. Now, I don't need to convert miles. I still want my answer to be in miles. This time I want to convert gallons to liters. In order to get this gallons to cancel, I'm going to have to put gallon units on the top here so that they'll cancel, and liters on the bottom. How are these equivalent to each other? Well, that's where I use my conversion factor. 1 gallon is 3.785 liters. So, in my calculator, I enter 24.0 times 1 divided by 3.785. And I get an answer. How many significant figures should my answer have? It depends on what I started with. 24.0 has 3 significant figures because 0 at the end of a number are significant if they also fall after a decimal. So my answer would be 6.34 miles per liter. Never use your numbers in your conversion factor for sig figs because 3.785 liters is equal to exactly 1 gallon. That's an exact number. Only use the numbers you've started with for significant figures. Some other units that we might have to convert are temperature conversions. We are most familiar with the Fahrenheit scale, but temperatures can also be reported in degrees Celsius and also in Kelvin. And there's formulas that we use for this. Degrees Celsius, if we need to convert to Celsius from Fahrenheit, we would take the Fahrenheit temperature, subtract 32, and divide it by 1.8. And that is the formula to convert from Fahrenheit to Celsius. So, if it's 72.6 degrees Fahrenheit outside, what would that temperature be in degrees Celsius? We put 72.6 in for Fahrenheit. And then we enter the numbers in our calculator. And that would be 22.6 degrees Celsius. Well, what if I have my Celsius temperature and I need Fahrenheit? Degrees Fahrenheit is equal to 1.8 times the degree Celsius plus 32. So if the temperature is 25.0 degrees Celsius, and I want to convert that to Fahrenheit, I plug in the 25 for the degrees Celsius, enter it in my calculator, and I will have that my Fahrenheit temperature is 77 degrees Fahrenheit. The last conversion is the Kelvin scale. Whatever my temperature is in Celsius, to convert that to Kelvin, I simply add 273.15. So if the temperature is 25 degrees Celsius, and I want to convert that to Kelvin, I simply add 273.15. 25 degrees Celsius is 298 Kelvin. What if I have the Kelvin temperature? It's 313 Kelvin, and I want to convert that to Celsius. Well, I would simply take the 313 and subtract the 273.15, and I would see that on the Celsius scale, that is 399 degrees Celsius.